Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sarah Lebrad and I wrote every day for 30 days. I have my computer with me and we're going to be talking about how I wrote every day for 30 days and what I accomplished in that time period. The first thing that I want to mention is that I did not do this over a calendar month. I started a writing streak at the end of February and just kind of kept going through almost all of March. One of the first things that I want to mention was that this was not entirely intentional. I have wanted to see how many days in a row I could write, but this was not started as I'm going to write every day for 30 days kind of a thing. This was not like a writing experiment where I was like, yes, I'm going to force myself to write every single day. This very much just started out at like day 5 of a writing streak, an accidental writing streak. And then I was like, okay, well, if I've already written 5 days, then I'll write again today and I'll be at 6 days. And that kind of just kept happening. I did get a little too in my head about it a couple times throughout this month where I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to like write for 30 days. And then I had to like remind myself, no, we're just taking it one day at a time. If I don't hit 2 weeks, if I don't hit 3 weeks, if I don't hit 30 days, it's totally fine. I'm just writing every day. I'm trying to build a healthy writing habit while also understanding that there are some days that I just can't or won't write. However, I was able to write for 30 days, and that might also be partly because these 30 days spanned 2 different writing projects in 3 different phases. The first project that I was working on was wrapping up my project DE, which is a high fantasy that I was getting ready to send out to beta readers. So I was finishing up the 3rd draft between February 25th and March 4th. And then between March 5th and March 10th, I was spending a lot of time going through that document, making sure that everything was really looking good for beta readers and that there weren't any issues and that I was filling in character names and place names and just trying to like iron out everything that I had left for myself to do. And then on March 11th, I started drafting my side project, which I call Project CBH, which is a sci-fi story, which I'm very excited about because I wanted to work on drafting that while DE is off with beta readers. So those are the 2 projects and the 3 phases of those 2 projects that I've been working on for the past 30 days. I also want to apologize because I'm currently sitting outside and so there are like construction noises and whatnot, but hopefully it's not too bad. So for the first 8 days of these past 30 days, when I was still working on wrapping up draft 3, which was me rewriting my entire project of DE, I rewrote 23,170 words in 17 hours and 20 minutes across the 8 days. That's crazy, but I was able to finish draft 3, which then meant I needed to actually finally prepare the document, as in like finalize the document to send out to my beta readers to beta read for a month before they sent me their feedback. So then I took the next 6 days and in 7 hours and 25 minutes across those 6 days, I went through the entire document. I prepped it for beta readers to make it easier to beta read. I went through, I removed all of the highlighted portions, all of the parentheses portions. I filled in all the blanks. I gave certain characters names. I gave places names. I just kind of like fixed capitalization on a bunch of spots. I was just trying to make the story and capitalization and stuff more consistent to make it more readable to somebody who's not me. And then on March 10th, I sent my story out to beta readers, which was so freaking exciting. But I was feeling very creatively invigorated and I wanted to just like keep going. However, because I had just sent out DE to beta readers, that meant I needed to start on something new. I had a couple ideas bouncing around my head of the next project that I wanted to work on, or like which project of several I wanted to work on, because as I mentioned earlier, my beta readers are going to have DE for about a month before they get it back to me, and so I wanted to work on something else to distract myself while my beta readers had DE. I also considered taking a couple days off after sending it out to beta readers just to like relax a little bit, but as I said, I was feeling so good and I just wanted to keep creating, so that's what I did. From March 11th to March 26th, which was a span of 16 days, I started working on my side project CBH. It is currently an adult or a new adult sci-fi story that I'm very excited about. I will be talking more about CBH and how that drafting process is going in upcoming videos, so if you want to see more about that from me, make sure that you are subscribed down below because I have not drafted a story in a very long time, so this is such an exciting experience for me. And across those 16 days, I wrote 25,640 244 words. And that was in a total of 21 hours and 45 minutes. I think that's insane. That's like a NaNoWriMo level pace, because in 16 days I did 25,000 words. So adding those 25,644 words from the last 16 days and adding the 23,170 words from the first 8 days of this past month, that means that I wrote/rewrote 48,814 words in the last 30 days. That does not include the 6 days that I spent preparing draft 3 to be sent out to beta readers, because I didn't really add very many words during that, and it was more just like going through and like clearing out my like thoughts on the page that were kind of like bogging down the story, but notes left to myself that my beta readers didn't necessarily need. So technically in 24 days I wrote or rewrote 48,814 words, which I think is absolutely wild. But if you add up all of the time that I spent on my creative projects across the last 30 days, that totals 36 hours and 30 minutes, which over the last 30 days means that I was averaging about an hour and 13 minutes a day of writing or spending time on these creative projects. That did of course fluctuate. And so as a part of like phase 1 of these past 30 days, where I was still working on finishing up draft 3 of DE, my highest word count day and time count day for that 8-day span was 6,199 words, and I did that in 4 hours worth of writing sprints, which was on February 26th. And then as a part of phase 2, which is when I was preparing DE to be sent out to beta readers, the total amount of time that I spent, the longest that I spent in one of those days was 2 hours and 15 minutes, which was on March 9th. And then when I started drafting CBH, my highest word count day was 3,192 words on March 20th, but I actually had 3 tie for the top amount of time that I spent in a day on DE. So apparently I've had 3 days within that 16-day span of working on CBH where I wrote 2 hours and 10 minutes a day. So now that we've kind of mentioned some of my highest word days for this past month, I also want to touch on some of my lower word count days. For this, I'm going to completely ignore the 6 days that I didn't actually add any words when I was preparing DE to send it out to beta readers. But if you average out those 48,814 words that I wrote/rewrote over the past 30 days, that averages out to 1,877 words a day that I was actually adding words to these documents, which is, I'm gonna say it again, wild. Up until this point, I have never won a NaNoWriMo or Camp NaNoWriMo, where the goal typically is to write about 50,000 words in a project or add 50,000 words to a project. At least for NaNoWriMo, Camp NaNoWriMo is a little bit more flexible, but I have never won one of those events. But over these last 30 days, I have totally written at that pace, which is wild. And while I did have several crazy high word days, like the 6,191 word day on February 26th, a 4,000 word day on March 2nd, and then 3 other 3,000 word days, I did also have a couple like 3-digit days, but to my surprise, I think I only had 5 of them. The lowest word count day that I've had over the past 30 days was 76 words, and that happened on March 25th. And then I had a day where I did 223 words. I had a day where I did 240 words. I had a day where I did 392 words. And then I had a day where I did 746 words, and then everything else was above 1,000 words, which is wild. Like I said earlier, I did do this kind of accidentally. Like I got like 5 days into it and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of doing a writing streak. I'm gonna try and do like another day. And then I had a day around like 2 weeks where I was kind of psyching myself out. I was like, well, I don't wanna go for like 30 days or something because that's too much pressure. And then I had to just like gently remind myself that this is very much a process that I just need to take one day at a time. And I felt really good taking it one day at a time, and clearly it worked out well for me. After I realized I had hit 30 days writing in a row, I did kind of want to try going for longer, but I ended this on March 26th, but I ended up not writing on March 27th, which ultimately ended this writing streak, which is totally okay. I think it was a very interesting writing experiment without being an intentional writing experiment, where I learned a lot more about my writing habits and kind of my tendencies. And I think that working on 3 different projects or phases of projects within this time span really helped me keep going and helped me stay working on these things more consistently. In the past, I've noticed that sometimes I like write every day for a week and then I'll take a week off of writing, and I just kind of flip back and forth. And so making writing part of my daily life is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And so it was very nice to like see it happen, and it made me very excited about writing and continuing to write and trying to write every single day. Sometimes it's not going to work, and I totally understand that. Ultimately, still trying to be nice to myself and acknowledging that progress is progress, even on days where it may not feel like it. But I'm also very excited on what writing every day for 30 days means for me and my creative potential, because if I can write every day for 30 days and get 48,000 words done, granted that might not happen every month, that has never happened before, but it happened this time, which tells me that it could happen again. And so in trying to build a newer writing practice in my still relatively new job and trying to just figure out the flow of my day and what I want my days to look like, what I want my habits to look like, it certainly seems that writing could be an everyday sort of thing for me, which makes me very, very excited. I want to know down in the comments below if you try to write every day or if you just write occasionally, because I know that everyone out there has a very different writing routine, and that's a part of what makes this writing community so amazing, is that everyone is so different in their styles and their habits and their routines, but we are all still writers at the end of the day. So with that, I think that's going to be it for me today, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, because it really supports my channel by telling the YouTube algorithm that you liked my video and that someone else might too. This is also a friendly reminder to back up and save your work, drink some water, and be nicer to yourself, because progress is progress. I am currently posting videos twice a week, most weeks on Mondays and Thursdays, and so if you want to see more from me, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button and that little notification bell next to it so you get updated every time I upload a brand new video. And with that, happy writing, you guys, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!